Conjugation in German has a few different types of irregularities, but there are rules to these irregularities that we will discuss. If you don't know about the rules of regular conjugation, check out the last video. Let's start with verbs where we have to slightly change our stem rule. As a reminder, to get the stem, we remove the ending letters e and n from the infinitive of the verb. However, there are a few verbs that end in ern or eln. In these cases, just remove the n to reveal the stem. If you think about it, this makes sense, because you can't remove an e that isn't there to begin with. This missing e is also reflected in the following conjugation, where it is not added back except for the first person singular. Sometimes we have to add or remove a letter in conjugation to keep the verbs in an acceptable form. If a verb stem ends with d or t, add an e at the end of it in all positions where there isn't one already. Otherwise, the resulting words would be a little strange. For the word arbeiten, for example, the correct conjugations are du arbeitest and arbeitet. If we were to follow the regular conjugation rules, it would become du arbeitst and arbeit. This would be pronounced and spelled in a way that is awkward for Germans, so we avoid it. A similar logic can be applied if a stem ends with a sound like s, z, or the sz. In this case, we just change the conjugation of the third person singular because there's no need to have an s sound twice. Something very important to remember from this point forward is that all German verbs are regular in the plural form conjugations. Really try to remember this because it will cut your work in half, knowing that you only have to learn the singular forms. If you interpret the first three rules as stem adjustments rather than real irregular conjugation rules, then you can see that there too the plural forms are unchanged. Now we get to stem changing verbs. These verbs have an inconsistent stem in the conjugation forms. There's a pattern to them, but it doesn't always apply. Many of them you will have to just memorize. These stem changes generally apply only to the second and third person singular. So no need to worry about ich or the plural forms. One common pattern is that an e in the stem becomes an I or ie. For example in geben or lesen. Another common pattern is that an a in the stem becomes an ä. For example in fallen or laden. And finally, we have some verbs that are completely irregular. The most important four are sein, haben, werden, and wissen. Try to apply your new knowledge about irregular conjugation by filling in the blanks in these example sentences. Having so many rules may feel overwhelming at first, but with practice you will get used to them too. In any case, you will most likely be understood even if you make some mistakes. So don't worry and just keep learning. Thanks for watching and subscribe to learn German.